What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of the One Fourth Careers podcast. I'm your host, Xavier, and I'm here with Bernard. Bernard graduated from Grambling State University with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting in 2020. Now, Bernard works as a data and AI consultant at Accenture. Bernard, what's going on, my guy? Welcome to
What's
the
up?
pod.
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Good, brother. I appreciate you stopping in, man. How you living?
Man, absolutely blessed, man. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you on your platform. Super excited for what you got going on here. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, man.
Opportunities all mine, man. You been enjoying the summer and everything? You been getting out here?
Man, trying to. It's been a quiet summer so far. We hoping to get it turned up a little bit. This might be
Nah,
this
for
year.
sure. Yeah. Nah. The weather definitely doing this thing right now. It's definitely hot up here. Cool, man. Well, you graduated with 2 degrees. You from the South, went to school in Louisiana. I was born in Louisiana, so I like to try to be cool from time to time and claim it just a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, but you're a data and AI consultant, so I just feel like there's a lot of goodness to share about your background, man. Where you from? How would you describe your story?
man. I would describe it as humble beginnings. Not just humble financially, but humble in mindset, right?
Okay.
I wouldn't say low expectations, but normal expectations, right? I didn't think that all of this advanced, all these advanced opportunities would come my way in such a fast amount of time. So I'm
Mhm.
blessed, man. South Louisiana, Southeast Louisiana, Covington, Louisiana, to be exact, 985,
Okay.
504 area. Down south, man. We simple people, man. A beautiful life.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. I appreciate you sharing that. So talk to me about your job, man. Data AI consultant. What do you do? What does that mean? AI kind of hot off the press, it feels like. I'm sure it's been around, but it's kind of buzzing. So like let the people know kind of some of the responsibilities, man. What is that role like?
Yeah, man. Data and AI consultant. First off, I would say I think a lot of people get caught up in the glamour, the glitz and glam of the title of a data and AI anything, right? They now
Mhm.
like at first it was the metaverse and NFTs, and now it's data and AI and Chat GPT and all these things that we can do with ease, right? I would say that my responsibilities are a little bit different than people expect, right? Because a lot of times as a consultant, we work for clients who are a lot of times behind the ball when it comes to how advanced their systems and operations are. So as a data
Mhm.
and AI consultant, I think it's more so about, especially right now in this infancy phases of AI, about conversations around how we can really help make change in these organizations, how we can save them money. Unfortunately, sometimes that means cutting some people off and taking some jobs away. So it's a difficult conversation. It's awkward.
Yeah.
It can get weird, but that's where we are now with the abilities that technology provides us.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's very insightful. I know me being from an engineering background and me hopping right out of it when I graduated, definitely have been a little out of touch with it. So it's good to kind of hear some of that voiceover there. Um, so being in that role, you described a little bit about the role, some of the misconceptions about that technological area. How did you get into that role in the first place?
Man, I could try to give like a fancy story of like I did this move, I did
Yeah, yeah,
this,
yeah,
but really, man, it was God, man.
for
So
sure.
coming out of college, of course, I chose the major computer information systems first,
Hmm.
just because I knew that I wanted to do something with technology, right? Ended up adding on the double major of accounting just because the track was so similar, and I had a lot of support in the accounting area at our school. Um, so it made sense. After that, graduating, of course, right as the pandemic started, everything was kind of uncertain, right?
Hmm.
So it really was a situation where you had to, as a new graduate, take advantage of any opportunities that came your way. I did have a few offers to join some other organizations, some other companies after college, but I didn't settle, right? So I was super aggressive, even in the virtual world that we were in. Ended up getting invited to a conference, an Accenture conference for HBCU students. Uh,
Okay.
and so that was when I was able to kind of really get introduced to what it means to be a consultant, Of course, I went through our interview process, 3-step interview process that everybody goes through. And they decided to hire your boy, you know what I'm saying?
Got him.
So yeah, it was kind of like that. But again, God was with me the whole step of the way. All the decisions I made, as I look back on it, they were barely mine.
Man, I feel like that with so much of my life of like I couldn't have planned this. It couldn't have been me. I'm not the one who really got me all the way here. So I definitely that definitely resonates. So let's talk about skilling in your role. Now that you've been in the role for a while, you already shared some insight into the field itself, but what are some skills that are important to be successful in the job that you're in?
Man. Um, so yeah, I'm just for the audience. I'm gonna try to make it as digestible as possible, right? So you can have a coding background or a data analyst background or data warehousing background. You can have all these really technical things, right? But I think that especially when it comes to people who want to break into the industry, it's just
Yeah.
applicable skills, right? So um, I think the biggest skill that I've benefited from is networking, right? Because understanding that you learn different ways, and I'm able to meet different people and learn through other people's experiences. Another thing I'll say is in that same branch of networking, I would say a skill that allows you to create a confidence when it comes to communication, right? That's super huge in the tech industry. Okay, it's super huge in the tech industry, but like again, we are in the infancy phases of what's possible with data and AI. So it is even more imperative to be able to communicate to these developers, to these clients, right? To really your coworkers and your team members on how you want things to go, how you envision things going,
Mm,
because that is, you know, a lot of people don't understand and don't know what they don't know, right? And everyone's still learning. We're on a huge learning curve right now. So I think those are the few skills I would say that if you are not in tech, I think you could pick up and that you can really focus on if you're a student, if you're a young professional just getting in. Um, of course, those as you develop those skills and pull more into the communication, pull more into your networking, you'll find the certifications that you like and or that you would prefer and a career paths in data and AI, which is a big field right now,
yeah.
that you would align yourself with. So I think foundationally, those are the main ones for me.
Okay. Yeah. And somewhat skills adjacent here. What about certifications, degrees? I think you
Yeah,
mentioned it already sounds like you can come from different backgrounds. So maybe we'll touch on certifications. What are some certifications that serve you well as a data and AI consultant or kind of in that area?
yeah. So there's a few. I'm gonna save my favorite for last. The first one I'll call
Okay.
out is cloud. Anything in the cloud. Um, Not really because it's a game changer, right? I think a lot of people have awareness of the cloud and what it does, but to have that certification on your belt never hurts. It's something I'm working towards right now. Um, my personal favorite, the one that I'm really like chopping at the bits to get at, and that just is visually pleasing for me and also very exciting from just a data and AI perspective, is Snowflake, right? So any of the Snowflake certifications, they are one of the best companies right now. If you look at their stock and really in every way, right? So they're one of the only data warehousing platforms that integrates with all of the cloud platforms. So Azure, AWS, you name it, right? That's the one that I'm really excited about. That whole branch and that whole career path of Snowflake certifications.
Dang. So for the audience who don't know, then you're not just getting certifications just for the sake of getting them. Like, aren't there a lot of benefits to them? The bag, the knowledge. You gotta talk to that, man.
So, man, that is the biggest thing. So that's the biggest, probably one of the biggest misconceptions I had jumping into consulting, right? Because
Okay.
as a consultant, you're thrown into that fire. They don't
Yep.
care if you got the certification or not. So you're thrown into that fire. You learn the work as you go, and then along the way you realize like, oh, this is why they need that certification because or this is why they're checking for that certification because this is the fire you about to be thrown into, right? So I think when
Yeah.
I first joined, my mindset was I need to grab all these certifications and make my resume look good, right? And now that I'm actually doing the work and I'm realizing, I'm doing the work now before I get the certification. So now it's like, okay, let me take a step back and stop trying to grab everything I see. Let me say, okay, based on where I am right now, based on the work that I'm doing, what makes the most sense to help me get to that next level. So it's not the level that we're at, right? So we can, this is like one of the gripes that I have with like a basic level cloud certification, right? It's not necessarily the level that you're at. So a basic level of cloud certification won't necessarily take you to that next level of being a manager, or in our line of work, being an MD. It won't get you to that point because that's a basic level, right? You have to think, 3 steps ahead. So once you get this cloud certification, what's the next 2, 3 certifications that you're looking at in that pipeline that's going to put you in position and put your story in a great position?
Yeah, so I definitely missed that third one there in career advancement. It definitely contributes to all phases of employment, the bag, having the knowledge and skills, as well as career advancement on our professional journey. So I appreciate you talking about that. Now, I'm curious about if people want to join organizations, if they want to be in the space with other folks who may be on the data and AI consultant trajectory in adjacent field, or even professionals who could end up in this technology space as a whole. What are some programs, associations, organizations that people should keep their eye out for if they're really chomping at the bits to get into an organization with like-minded folks?
Yeah, no, no, and there's a few routes that you could take. One, I would say you have to network with you have to create a board of directors, right? You have to network to create that, right? So, for example, me and you met through networking purely, and we became friends and formed a bond how we share each other's networks. So I would say it's not necessarily about people who are directly aligned to where you want to be, but just people who are that are reachable for you, right? So you may be able to go to a networking meeting in your city. Like we have Black Tech Columbus 614, and they do monthly meetups. So it's a collective of Black Tech professionals that are there to share their network, to share their experiences. So for young professionals, I would say look to the pool of professionals that are in your city and try to get involved in that way. If you're a college student, I would say start with your peers. Your peers are going to be like those next, professionals, those right. So I think that a lot of times, and this is something that I did in college as well, I looked past a lot of my peers in the focus of trying to become the best professional and prepare myself for that professional journey, right? And I should have taken more time to network within my graduating class, for example, to make sure that I establish those relationships because one day I may need them, right? Um, so as a student, I would say start with your graduating class, start with your peers around you, start with your professors. They have seen many of you. They have seen many students come in and go, right? Um, and then on the professional side, I would say, as an experienced professional, I would say I'm getting to the point now where it's pay to play season. And when I say pay to play season, I mean now it's time for, if you want those advanced connections, right? Those connections that don't get you necessarily in the door, but get you to the next door, within the house, or get you to the top floor, or maybe you want to go to the kitchen, or you want to go, right, some mobility. So I would say events, larger events like Afrotech, right? Larger events like there's a Black Tech conference coming to Ohio, Cincinnati, later on the summer. Like those events where I say pay to play, meaning you may have to come out of pocket, you may have to spend that gas money or that travel money to go to these locations because everybody's going there. It's going to be a big pool. It's going to be a big mix, and there's a bunch of opportunities there. So man, investing in yourself is the biggest investment you can make. So I would say for those 3 levels, right? College student, young professional, and then advanced professional. I think those 3 areas really.
Yeah, I love that. So you've already dropped so many gems, man. Like knowing what you know now, if you could go back to yourself in undergrad and give yourself any piece of advice to better prepare for your role, what would that look like? So you can't tap back into some of the gems you already spoke of better networking with people in your class or maybe going to some of these conferences and such if you did miss any at all, which is probably hard for you to have done because I feel like you was everywhere around the country. Uh, what else would you maybe call out as something you would go back and tell yourself?
Man, as an undergrad, and I'll try to make it to where it's not specific to to just those in the tech industry, right? I would say consistency creates confidence. Consistency creates confidence. So I think a lot of times as young adults, right, we get to college and we're like, oh snap, we in college, or we get to like our senior year, we like, oh snap, it's time to graduate. We gotta, what I'm saying. But I think that
Me.
man, you're scrambling, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that what I would go back and tell myself is consistency creates confidence. Man, prepare for the opportunity that you expect to have. Right, prepare
Mhm.
for these meetings, prepare for these tests. And just be better at it as someone who has the mindset of someone who wants to go far or have these goals and knock down these goals in a certain time frame. Of create that confidence within yourself. See that the confidence that you create through consistency that lasts with you for the rest of your life. Like
Mm.
those are things that people can't take away from you. So
Yeah.
a lot of times, in my day to day interactions now, people are confused because they are met with someone who is so confident in the way that they speak, in the way that they walk and talk. But that's because this confidence wasn't built overnight. This confidence is built through, years of consistency and years of planning and talking to my peers and learning from my mistakes and failure. All of those things. Consistency doesn't mean that you're consistently rising. It just means that
Mm.
you're consistent. Even if you fail, you're getting back up. Even if if something doesn't go completely your way, you're not going to give up, right? So
Yep.
I will say that will be the biggest thing, and I think that's one of the top contributors to my success as well.
Yeah, nah, that's dope, man. Because consistency, to your point, it's not necessarily dependent on the outcome. It's more the consistency of what you exude, the consistency of what you put out, the energy and effort you put out, man. And that also connects to something I saw probably late last year, maybe earlier this year about imposter syndrome. It's so many of us out there from all walks of life who have imposter syndrome. And I think I saw something that I don't know if it was a visual or what, but it kind of touched on the evolution of imposter syndrome, especially as a result of being consistent. Every time you meet a new challenge or a new feat that you have imposter syndrome about, you conquer it. The next one, you have imposter syndrome, you conquer it. The next one, you have imposter syndrome. Eventually, that consistency of discipline, of hard work, tenacity, scrappiness, being resourceful, it eventually evolves into I'm no longer having imposter syndrome because I know I can do it. I've had it for so long and I've hit certain milestones in my life that have proven to me that I know what I'm capable of. And I think that timeline is different from everyone, right? You have some people who have been through so much early on, they know what they built for, and they just don't have imposter syndrome so much. You have people who have different paths where maybe it just takes you a little bit longer. It takes you a certain feat, it takes you a certain life milestone, so to speak. So I definitely can relate to that. And I think that's definitely dope, man. Being consistent does lead to confidence. I also have had that same experience. So for y'all out there, it is true. It is a lived experience. So y'all keep being consistent on your own time. Hopefully you'll gain the confidence. And if you don't gain it right away, surround yourself by people who will hype you up. It's very important to have your cheerleaders, to have your community who will at times when you're down or you have that imposter syndrome or you're doubting yourself, have people who will remind you who you are. Like you him, you her, whatever your pronouns are, like you them. You feel me? Like just keep being consistent and it will breed confidence. Just keep at it. Um so that was really cool, man. I really appreciate that. So next question I have for you is can you speak to what career progression looks like? You're a data and AI consultant. What does the entry level area look like? How many different careers can you go down? How would you describe from your perspective, your experience and what you've seen in the workforce? What does the career path look like if someone wanted to enter into this particular field?
Man, that's a great question. That's a great question, and I'll give a little context into how I got into the field for
Mhm.
my later point. So, uh, I didn't pick data and AI.
Okay.
I didn't. That wasn't my original choice, right? So I wanted to be an industry X. When we first joined, they gave us a list. They said, "Hey, you got to pick the top three, and we'll do you the best. We'll
Hmm.
place you the best as we can." So data and AI was my second choice, right? And I say that because in today's time, right, this is 2 years removed from those moments. It's super competitive to get into data and AI, right? It's
Mm.
a hot spot, right? Everybody wants to be in it because they understand the future that it has. Um, so I would say, you know, from that perspective, I would say be strategic about how you are angling your entry into it. And what I mean by that is surround yourself with the support in that industry before you try to jump into it, especially as a younger analyst or somebody starting off their career. Um, and I say that because, a lot of times, again, we get caught up with the word data and AI, and we're not understanding what that really means. And I'm talking to really my HBCU people, my minority people, when
Yeah.
I say build that network, because once you jump into that water is hot. This is it's competitive. The expectation is that you're able to not only come and add value to these companies in the sense of showing them what they need and how they can take advantage of these tools, but
Hmm.
also protecting them from the dangers of these tools. So you have to
Right.
really have a 360-degree understanding of these capabilities, right, and what's out there. And I'm not even saying that I have that 360-degree capability or
Yeah.
understanding capabilities, right? But it's about having people in place to help guide you, having leaders in the industry already there to say, hey, so and so is thinking about doing this. What do you think? And if they say that might not be a good idea because I've done this in the past and this is how it happened,
Exactly.
you'll have those guide rails there to help you. So I would say, of course, this is all going back to networking, right? So network your way into the industry. Establish those guardrails for you before you make that jump, right? Um, at the entry level is super competitive, and even more competitive once you get through the door because there are people that may have chosen the industry when they joined, right? And
Hmm.
they were able to get hired under that industry, and now they're looking at the way that the world is going, the way that the economy is moving, and they're saying, "Oh, wait, I made a mistake." So you're competing. These entry level people, right, are going to be competing against these non-entry level people for those same slots of how big can we make this pool of people, how big can this industry get, and how lucrative is it for the business, right? So I would say just build your understanding.
Yeah.
Don't be in a rush. Like as a young professional, don't be in a rush to claim any industry, right? Like today is data and AI. Next week they might come out with a new type of system that does something, and now everybody's going to be talking about that, right? So don't be in a rush. Be patient. Again, network and be strategic about how you place the people that are around you, and go from there.
Yeah, no, that was really powerful, especially when you touched on the fact that you don't even have that 360 view yet because of everything that you described. It can come across as intimidating to some of, oh, I have to know everything or I have to be cut this way before I get into that role. I remember in undergrad steering away from consulting. It was like the first exposure I ever got into the field because I was told by a recruiter, oh, you're going to have to be a subject matter expert to these different clients. And I was like, I'm a sophomore, bro. I'm good. Like, I'm not an expert in nothing. Like, unless, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not really ready for that. But I think what could have been conveyed better, which is exactly your point of, none of us really have it down perfectly. It's more about using the tools that you come in the door with and being scrappy and understanding that these big successful firms and companies, they have the infrastructure for you to be very successful. And the only variance of people's success is them. It's not the resources around them, it's you. It's, are you able to go secure that board of directors? Are you in a place that's diverse enough, and even if it weren't, to be able to identify people who can be your advocates and can help refine your skill set? Don't ever let anybody fool you and say that they showed up day one, they knew how to do everything. It don't happen. And if it does, that's an anomaly. That's rare. That doesn't have to be your story. Companies are going to meet you where you are. And you know what I'm saying? You just got to keep at it and go get what you want. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever be so intimidated that you take away an opportunity for yourself. So I really appreciate you touching on that, talking through what that advice looks like, talking through your career path and what that looks like. And it also speaks to the intentionality that's needed when a person is considering a career switch or considering entering into any career. You know, be intentional and be thoughtful about where you're headed. And also, it's good to do an assessment of here's what I want to do, here's what it's going to take to get there, and it all revolves back to networking, like you said, right? So it's good to have people in your corner who can help prepare you. So now, as we start ending, man, I really want to kind of talk more personally about you. Who inspires you? That can be professionally, that can be outside of your profession, just people who inspire you. I'm gonna leave that for you.
Man, that's a lot of people, man. So the one thing I would say as a African American man from the South, and Xavier, you know this as well as me, is you have to pull inspiration from everything. You have to be able to pull inspiration from everything. So I won't go in crazy detail about all the areas that give me inspiration. Like this is inspiring, right? To be able to hop on the podcast with one of my closest friends in the game and chop up a game like this and provide value. This is inspiring me, right? But um, to take it just to the beginning of who I am, man. I come from a large family on both sides, mother and father, right? So I would say all of my family inspired me, right? Watching them go through everything that they went through, the failures, the successes, um, you know, all of those small stories, those unfortunate stories, the things that kind of like it's like a movie theater, like make you cry, things that make you laugh, right? All of those small pieces of the people that are around me that made me who I am. Those are probably the most intimate and inspirational things that I could share. Um, Outside of that, man, it's you use that for inspiration and momentum, man. Like it's go time. You know, coming from that from the South, man. It's not that many opportunities, and it's not that many people that can speak to the experience of life that we can speak to. So after that, it's on fire, right? After that,
I'm gonna leave my story for another day, but all that, you feel me? All of that, because it's like when you live a certain way, or when you cut a certain way and you had experiences and you've experienced things in a certain way, they live with you and they kind of give you that chip on your shoulder. It gives you that fire, to your point, the inspiration, and you kind of just wired in such a way where no matter what you're going through, you can find inspiration anyway. They talk about Michael Jordan finding inspiration and anger, just making stuff up so he could be great for games. All right. Like that stuff translates all through life. So that's really appreciated, man. And I'm curious as well, where do you see yourself in a year or two, or see yourself in a short term, long term, whatever is most top of mind for you? Where do you see Bernard?
yeah, yeah. So I'll start professionally. I'll say mastering my current level, right? Recently promoted, so I appreciate it, bro. Recently promoted, so
Yeah.
I'm now learning a new set of responsibilities, right? So I would say in a year's time, I really want to, honestly, aggressively speaking, put myself in position for that next level, right? So mastering the level I'm at, I'm taking all of my skill sets to the next level when it comes to communication, understanding what it's like to be a leader and really um, navigate a team through ups and downs. Um,
Yeah.
on the personal level, man, I would just say just better, more focused, less distracted. I think the biggest piece of advice, or one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give to any young person that is really serious and wanting to change their situation, right, is
Mhm.
um, you got to cut out all the distractions, man. Like I don't, me, I don't have social media. You know, I just got a TV. Like it's not even a TV; it's like a monitor. I don't have no cable. So I think
Yeah.
the biggest piece of advice I could give to in this young generation where everybody's on the TikTok and everybody wants to be viral is to stay focused and don't be distracted. Right? It's a lot of stuff going on in the world. It's a lot of stuff going on, in people's personal lives. Everybody's got traumas and things that they're dealing with. So you have to be able to compartmentalize and stay focused.
Man, man, I look, all the advice I've been getting through these episodes, I'm like, I need to keep all these things in mind because it's applicable to everybody. It don't matter what age you in. And I probably got too many TVs in my house. And man, shout out to TikTok for all the hacks I've gotten. And also, the future pod being featured on that. But really appreciate you for sharing that. And really what I kind of want to ask as we get ready to wrap up, man, is what else you got going on? I know you a busybody in the city, bro. I know you be shaking and moving, but lead the people with something that you got going on personally, and maybe invite them to connect in some way somehow.
Yeah, I would say first off, I do have one form of social media that's LinkedIn. So, definitely add me on LinkedIn. Shoot me a message if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to chop it up. If you're in the 614 area, definitely, sync up with me. Um, Man, it's a lot going on. It's a lot in motion. I would say if I could sum it all up, man, just come out and support the things that are going on when it comes to just black tech in general. Um, we're trying to create a new wave here in the city of Columbus, man. So
Yeah.
it's difficult. There's a lot of red tape, of course, coming in as a transplant, but there's a lot of support here. I would say shout out to Black Tech 614 and that entire organization and that entire team.
Hmm.
That's really where most of the focus is going to be for the moment, um, and just trying to make sure that we establish that foundation of young people in tech in the city that are helping each other, that are building that ladder and connecting the bridge between our jobs and the community. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Look, already making motion, already have the wave going and started. I know it's going to continue to grow as long as you got your hands on it, man. Shout out to those orgs that Bernard mentioned as well. Shout out to the black community, man, here in the city, just making so much motion in the tech space and really just kind of grassroots and getting stuff out the mud per usual, man. And shout out to everybody as well, allies and others, whoever is helping contribute with the wave as it's continuing on. So, man, bro, I appreciate you, man. We did it. I know we were talking about it just for a little bit, man, but I appreciate you stopping by, trying to drop the gem so people can be great like you, bro.
Hey man, I'm trying to get like you. I'm trying to get like you. Beautiful. It's a beautiful situation though, man. Again, Xavier is super humble, man, but a wave maker, an innovator, a game changer, man. So I'm excited to see what you do. With this, I might be on. I need to join the membership, the fan club.
Crazy work, crazy work. Go ahead, do it, man. Like, comment, subscribe. You feel me?
For sure, for sure,
Yeah. All right, cool, brother. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, my guy, and we'll be chopping it up soon, man.
for sure, man. Appreciate you.
All right, peace. All right, y'all. Another amazing episode. Really appreciate y'all stopping by. Can't do it without you. I love y'all coming by supporting. Like I always start off, man, y'all family. So all I leave with is the same old, same old. Stay happy, stay blessed, and peace.